to the Introduction to Metaphysics meetup. I'm beyond excited that you're here. We started in 2009, and as of today, I've got 4,408 awesome folks like yourself. And we meet twice a month online for those of you who aren't members of this group and are members of Airy's group. And you can find out more about me on my website of Jacqueline, if you could put that in, Kendara Laurel at www.kendaralaurel. But enough about me. Anyway, I've known Airy Hunniford for about 5 years and just adore her. And she's an absolutely amazing person. She is a founder of the worldwide spiritual group Awkwardly Zen, which I'm sure a lot of you are members of. Psychic, tarot reader, works with elements, a coach, provides spiritual coaching to those looking to develop their gifts or engage in their spiritual practice and personal growth. And before embracing her own profit, her own spiritual path, she owned a nonprofit consulting firm and raised millions of dollars across the country. So basically, we're putting her contact info in chat and you can learn more about her. And I think I've told you enough about me. And so I'm going to turn this over to the amazing Airy Hunniford.
Well, thank you, Kendara. I appreciate that. And it's so nice to see so many familiar faces and so many new to me faces. I love that. Kendara did a pretty good overview, and I'm going to talk about myself here at the beginning of this little PowerPoint that I put together. I will say this, you might want to have some pen and paper handy just to jot a few notes or to jot down questions. We'll do questions at the end. You can also just put them in the chat, and both Kendara and me and Jacqueline, so all three of us will keep track of that as well. And yeah, let me share my screen and let's get going here. Okay. So let's talk about roadblocks, detours, and getting out of your own way. This is where we begin our trip, okay? And roadblocks, you guys, are something that whether you are looking at metaphysics, spirituality, your own personal business, it may be relationships in your life, like we all have these roadblocks that kick up in front of us. And this is a class that I've taught in many different aspects. This one's going to be geared more towards spirituality, but feel free to take little bits of this into your other worlds as well, because roadblocks do pop up, and more often than not, we make them a bigger issue than they actually are, in my opinion. So we're going to talk about who I am. We're going to talk about some basics. I'm going to give you some examples of roadblocks and how to get around them. We are going to meditate today. So for those of you who one of your roadblocks is meditation, don't panic. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk it out. So give you a chance to kind of share some stuff, and then we'll have some time for questions. Then at the very end, if we have time, I will do some coaching sessions for anyone who is interested, but we'll talk about that later. So let's talk about who I am. So this was fun because the last time I did this presentation was a while ago, and I had to go in and rework almost this entire list, which was a really enjoyable thing because it shows that I am also working around my roadblocks. I'm exactly like you and completely different at the same time, right? We're all human. We have so many similarities, but really there's so many differences in us as well. And that being said, take everything I say and see if it works for you. And if not, at the end of this, chuck it out, you guys. You don't have to keep everything that I say. I'm not some amazing guru who's going to have all the answers for you, but hopefully I have something that'll help you scooch forward a little bit. I am a wife. I am a stepmom. I am also a foster mom. So I have 4 kids total, 1 stepdaughter and 3 foster kids who I still consider mine. I'm the founder of Awkwardly Zen, and we'll talk more about Awkwardly Zen here in a minute. I am a psychic, a tarot reader, a spiritual coach, and a teacher. I am a constant student and learner. And I am also a therapy advocate. Okay. I am a big fan of getting that therapy, and we'll probably talk about that a few times today. I'm a recovering busy bee. I'm still really working on that one, you guys. Busy hustle culture is definitely something that I grabbed a hold of and I'm having trouble letting go of. And I am perfectly imperfect, just like everyone else in this room. But the biggest thing is that I am constantly shifting. Okay. And the more I go down my spiritual path, the more I find that every day I'm a totally new person. And I love that about spirituality. And I have enjoyed falling into the flow of that a little bit more. Now, Awkwardly Zen is in 16 locations in 4 countries. We have over 16,000 members. And it was not part of the plan, y'all. If anyone's in this room, the plan, right? I'm gonna grow up. I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna have kids. I'm gonna have a career. I'm gonna do all of these things. It was the plan. And I did a lot of the plan in a variety of different ways. But Source or Universe or God, whatever you want to hear, has a lot of sense of humor and decided to take my plan and like put it in a jar and shake it up a little bit. So I was a foster parent to teenagers when I was in my 20s. I had grandbabies when I was in my 20s, heading into my 30s. Like there was all this crazy stuff that was happening to me that was not part of the plan. So you'd think by the time I got to 2020 and I had all of these messages. I got all these different readings about Awkwardly Zen. They didn't know what it was. They kept saying, "You have something big coming. You have something big coming." And I was like, "I don't know what that means." And they were like, "It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming." And then I started getting these messages. You're supposed to have a community. And I was like, who the hell am I to have a community? Right. I was pretty new on my path. I'm not a guru. I'm still not a guru. I certainly wasn't then. And I just was kind of in shock, but it was persistent. There was this persistent knowing that there was something else I was supposed to do. And so as those roadblocks came up of that self-doubt, of that, I have no idea how to do that. I don't know what that looks like. All of those roadblocks that popped up in front of me, I had to eventually get around them and get out of my own way to create something that has been the most beautiful thing, and put so many people together. And it just makes my heart so happy. So I am super glad that I got around my own roadblocks. And I say that just so you know that I'm not just like someone up here saying, hey, you guys should do this when I don't do it. I have to get around my own roadblocks all the time. And sometimes I sit behind them a little bit. The biggest things that I've done to get out of my way with Awkwardly Zen, one was raise my frequency. When I am in lower frequencies, which still happens. I'm not constantly happy and cheery. Anyone who volunteers for Awkwardly Zen can tell you that. When I am in these lower frequencies, the longer I stay in them, the harder it is for me to actually accomplish things, to get things done, to move forward. So, trying to raise my frequency through high hertz music, through essential oils, through going outside, getting in the earth. We'll talk more about some of that later. That was all a big part of me getting out of my own way. The biggest thing with Awkwardly Zen is when I look out towards the future and I see where we're headed, it's none of my business how we get there. All I have to do is keep going. Okay. And when I say it's none of my business, it just helps me be in the moment instead of trying to be 10 steps ahead of myself. So that's been really, really helpful. Keep trusting and moving forward. Leaps of faith, y'all, they're not always easy, right? Sometimes, and there's some of you in this room who are like, no problem, I take a leap of faith every day. Not everyone can do that. But every time that I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do next, I just need to put one foot in front of the other, because whatever I need to do will eventually come into my focus and I'll take care of it and then we'll move past it, like we all have done, right? If we weren't constantly moving forward and adapting and growing and changing, you wouldn't be in this room because you wouldn't even know this group existed. So that's where we have to trust ourselves a little bit and trust the universe that it's just going to put those paths out in front of us, right? Those breadcrumbs, just follow them one at a time. And then asking for help. Okay, now some of you, Jacqueline didn't burst out laughing. Look at her. And the reason I say that is because Jacqueline is one of our amazing volunteers with Awkwardly Zen and with every other group as well. And she is so great at it. And she's constantly saying, what can I do? What can I do? It's hard for me because I am a bit of a control freak. And also Awkwardly Zen is my baby. And I did it by myself for so long. But there's no way I could run that big of a group by myself. So I had to start asking for help. I had to start bringing in other people. So if you're out there going, I have to do this completely by myself, if that you want that to be your truth, it can be. It's going to take you a lot longer and it's going to be a lot more painful. And there's so much joy in working with others. So please, please, please learn from my mistakes. All right, so let's talk about some basics about the roadblocks. We've got quite a few little quotes that we're going to have in here. Overcoming negative tendencies and enhancing positive potential are the very essence of the spiritual path. Okay, roadblocks are usually negative beliefs. These are things that pop up that our ego gives us, that society gives us, all of these things that just pop up in front of us. And we have this moment where we go, oh my God, I'm stopped. I don't know what to do. Okay. Words have power, and this is a big thing, you guys. I'm going to talk about this a lot. What we say to ourselves and what we say to others is absolute truth for us in that moment, okay? Because that is what we are putting out into the universe. So if, and I say absolute truth, you guys, and a lot of you probably just flinched because I hate that term. Truth is such a weird thing to me because my truth and your truth and everyone else's truth is totally different, and my truth changes every day. But what you tell yourself is your truth. So if I say, I have I'm going to use a slightly controversial one because some people have anxiety. For me, I have anxious feelings, but I started saying I have anxiety and everything got kicked up. So when I took it back to anxious feelings instead of anxiety, it was a little bit more manageable for me, right? And that's just one example of what words are. Now, for those of you who have true anxiety, I'm not going to tell you what to call it. And for those of you who want to sit in that, that's totally fine too. But for me, shifting it to a different word has been very, very helpful, right? Even meditate. For a while, I really struggled with it. So I wouldn't say I was meditating. I'd say I'm taking some quiet time, or I'm going to go be with nature. And I would allow myself to not get caught on that word anymore because that word what was getting me. And the reality is that most of us are complete and total jerks to ourselves on a regular basis. Like the stuff we say to ourselves, the things we hear in our heads, we would never in a million years say that to somebody else. As a matter of fact, a lot of times when I'm coaching somebody, it comes up where it's like, what would you say to your best friend if it was the same situation? Now, sometimes you need to be like, here's the reality, right? And sometimes that's great, but you would never be like, you stupid idiot. Why would you do that? Like, yet we hear that in our heads often. And so trying to realize that we are jerks to ourselves and we can be kinder to ourselves is another big deal. So attachment to views is the greatest impediment to the spiritual path. And I really believe that. Like, if we get caught on this is the truth, this is the thing, how can we possibly allow ourselves to grow? Because growth requires, or change requires growth, right? You can't shift, you can't change if you're not growing. And you can't grow if you're not changing, right? It doesn't stay the same. We're all in this constant thing. So just widening those blinders a little bit. Now, the obstacles are a part of the journey. Now, I don't like to use the word test. I know a lot of people will be like, "Well, the universe is testing me." That feels really like a aggressive concept to me, and it's again going with trying to change my words. But I do believe that sometimes obstacles are put in our path to give us opportunities, right? We have opportunities to learn from them. We have opportunities to shift the way we're thinking on things. We have opportunities to figure out something's not working for us sometimes and to walk away. I really love using opportunities instead because it makes me not feel as attacked when those things happen. So, man learns through experience, and the spiritual path is full of different kinds of experiences. He will encounter many difficulties and obstacles, and they are the very experiences he needs to encourage and complete the cleansing process. Now, sometimes it requires that change, right? Like sometimes we have to change, we have to shift. Sometimes it requires patience. Sometimes, if it's something that isn't coming easily to us, we have to be patient with ourselves while things come together. It always, in my opinion, requires inner work. So it always requires looking within and going, okay, what's going on here? Do I need to stand still? Do I need to move forward? What would feel really good to me to be in this process with my spiritual journey? Okay. And then being brave. You guys, sometimes we just got to be brave. It's not always easy to be brave. And then the other thing is use your tools. For everyone in this room, you have different tools. Okay. Some of you have the same. Some of you use cards, tarot cards, or oracle cards. Some of you have a pendulum. Some of you have friends that you see. You have psychics that you see. You have people. You have therapists that you see. Woo, love therapy. All of those things, you see all of this and you use that. We all have the tools in our toolkit. And that's one of the biggest issues is that I have a whole office full of tools. And I cannot tell you how many times my friends have to say, well, did you ask your cards? Did you use this? Did you meditate? No, thank you so much. I didn't. Meh. Okay. Okay. So here's some basics too. Don't let yourself be kicked in the shin. When I had my foster kids, they would come home from school and they would say, so and so is mean to me. And about the fifth time that I heard that so and so, and these are their friends, you guys, were mean to them, I came up with this analogy to try to help them treat themselves with more respect and require those boundaries with their friends. And sometimes we have to require those boundaries within ourselves. Because if we were standing in front of somebody and they repeatedly were kicking us in the shin, what would we do? We're not going to stand there and keep getting kicked in the shin, right? We're going to move to the right and maybe they follow us over there and start kicking us. Then we're going to move to the left and maybe they follow us over there and they start kicking us, but maybe they don't. Maybe they stop. And if they do keep following us and kicking us, eventually we're going to push back, right? We're going to get out of that situation. But when it's not physical pain that someone is giving us, we sometimes take so much more of it than we really maybe should. And I don't like to use the word should, but if I'm standing there and something is repeatedly hurting me or repeatedly not working for me or repeatedly doing it, why would I keep doing the same thing over and over again? We've got to pivot, we've got to change. Another one of these examples for me is one day I was driving, when my stepdaughter Ashley was in middle school, she was playing volleyball, and I was the only parent who could make it to a game, and I was trying desperately to get across Denver rush hour traffic to get there, and I didn't want her not to see one of us in the stands, but I was stuck. I mean, we were stopped on this road, and we were barely crawling, and I was just like, "What are we doing?" I was so frustrated. I was getting really angry. Road rage was fully coming out. This was before my spiritual path, so it was really road rage at that point. And I stopped and I looked to the right and I saw that one car length ahead of me as we were inching forward, there was a street that went the other way. And then there was another street that was going the same way we were. And I thought, I'm gonna try it. I just can't sit here anymore. So I turned off the main path, which is what the GPS is telling me to do. I went down one block, and I'm telling you what, I went about 2 miles on that side road with no issues. And then I did have to come back onto the path that was stuck, but I had saved myself probably 10, 15 minutes at that point, all because I looked at something differently. And that's one of the things that I love in spirituality is there are so many ways to look at things. So if you're heading in a direction and you're stuck, look in different directions. This is a perfect example. This is the kind of roadblocks that you usually are actually facing on your spiritual path. And if you walk up to this little ballard here and you stand there and you go, "Oh, I cannot get by. There is no way around this. This block is right in front of me." You guys go to the right, go to the left, climb over it. There are so many ways around these, but we have to give ourselves a chance to do it. All right, let me check the chat here to make sure we're good. Looks like we're okay. Okay. Oh, I went backwards. All right, so let's talk about some examples. I don't have time. Okay, I'm not going to put you all on the spot here, but when I said I don't have time, like I don't have time for my spirituality, many of you probably flinched, at least internally. I think almost everyone I work with has brought this to my attention in one way or another with something. And this isn't just about spirituality. Like I said, this can be about anything. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to go to the doctor. I don't have time. And let me just tell you, I know that some of you have insanely busy lives. I am not going to discount that. Okay. However, I don't have time. If you are saying that, you are throwing that into the universe. You are saying that over and over and over again. So when someone says to me, I don't have time, y'all, I look just like this girl. My eyes, I'm going to roll them and I'm going to do the biggest stop saying that. Because if that is what you are perpetuating in your reality, that is what you are going to keep happening. You do have time, okay? You have to prioritize what's important to you. Now, I am a big fan, Kendra and I were just talking about this, of Netflix. So I'm not going to tell you, don't go watch Netflix, right? I'm not going to tell you to not take the nap. I'm not going to tell you because naps can be super spiritual, y'all. But what I am going to say is if you maybe watch a tiny bit less of that or take 10 minutes out from when you normally watch Netflix to do a meditation, spirituality does not have to take hours. Okay. It can be something that's short. So, Jacqueline's going to put over in the chat, I have a list of 50 spiritual things you can do in 5 minutes or less. So every time you hear yourself say, I don't have time to be spiritual, I want you to go on this list and pick one thing. You guys, spirituality can be as simple as saying to somebody, wow, that's a really nice shirt. Being kind is absolutely spiritual. It can be going outside, putting your face up to the sun, and taking a big, deep breath in. It can be finding a 5-minute insight timer meditation. Okay. And we'll talk about meditation here in a minute. Don't you worry for all my I can't meditate people. Um, it can go on insight timer and listen to music for 5 minutes or listen to a spiritual talk. You guys, if you don't have insight timer on your phone, it's an amazing app. I highly recommend it. It's free. There is a paid membership on it, but there are so many things for free. So grab all of those. You can do spirituality in 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is better than nothing. You guys, that will help you move down your path. Okay, I can't feel, hear, experience anything. So these are for my people who are trying to listen to their spirit guides, or they're trying to develop their psychic gifts, or they want to feel that feeling that sometimes you get when you really fall into a deep meditation, or they're trying to astral travel, or all the millions of things that you might be trying to do. I can't feel, hear, experience anything. Again, words have power. If you are saying I can't, the universe is like, all right, sure. Okay. One, often, when you say, I can't do this, you are overthinking it. I have a perfect example. Last night, Kendara and I and a few other people were at a tea leaf reading class here in Denver. And I ended up partnered up with this young woman who so intuitive, so tapped in. But every time she looked down at that cup, the first thing out of her mouth was, I can't. And so luckily she was sitting with me, right? And I'm a freaking spiritual coach. I mean, it worked out. It worked out really well. Thank you, universe. And I said, okay, hold on. Go ahead and at first I was like, don't say I can't. Just look down and pick something and go into it. And she did it once and it was really great. But the next thing out of her mouth was I can't, because it is a habit. She says I can't. So I said, okay, perfect. I'm going to let you say I can't. Say I can't, and then look down in the cup and see it. So before she said every single thing, she said, I can't, and then she did that. So then I said, okay, now you can't say I can't anymore because you can. You're doing it. She was overthinking. She looked down into that cup. She knew what she wanted to say, but then she was worried she would be wrong. Okay. Oftentimes, when you are trying to get an answer for something, oftentimes it is the first thing that pops in, or the first feeling, or the first anything. But we as humans want to analyze it. We want to tear it apart, and that can really be an issue. Comparison can be an absolute killer. I cannot tell you how many people end up in things with me, and I start going into this whole like big long spiel about intuitive things or psychic things, and they immediately want to shut up because they are not where I am. Well, y'all, I do a ton of spiritual work. I have done so many classes, so many things. I meditate every day. Like there's so much I'm going on. You can't compare yourself to me. And even if you did do the same things, you would have different results than me. We are totally different humans. Okay. When claircognizance and clear knowing might be my strongest gift, clairaudience might be yours. So when you start exploring it and finding yours, I can almost guarantee you, you will have things that you do better or more fluidly than I do. There's lots of stuff in spirituality I can't do. So try not to compare yourself to others unless that comparison is a driver for you. We always say comparison is bad, but it's not always bad. You guys, my friend Travis Holt taught me this. He had learned it from somebody else. But basically, what they had said was, if comparison is something that gets you excited and you're like, ooh, I want to learn that and I want to do that, then comparison's not bad. If it's bringing you down and telling you you're not good enough, that's what we got to shift there. Practice and patience makes perfect. Okay. How many people in this room, we do this in Awkwardly Zen, hate the word patience? Okay. Patience is a tough word, but y'all, you're going to have to find it on your spiritual path. I'm just going to say that. There are very few people, and I am a quick learner and I pick up stuff fast, but I still have had to be patient because divine timing, in my opinion, is a legit thing. And the divine timing sometimes isn't right where you are, or there are things that you have to let go of to be light enough to be in a place where you can accept certain things. So continuing to do the work while you're doing this will help it happen, but you might not be able to instantly see auras. I still can't, y'all. Instantly see auras until you do the work to figure out how to do auras or until you let go of the belief that you can't. Okay. So I have yet to see auras, but man, it's coming and I can feel it. It's coming. All right. The messages may not feel or seem like they are coming from something else. That is a big issue in spirituality. And I use myself as an example here. Some of you already heard this, but I thought I was really good at my job just because I was real smart. Okay. And I was really good at my job, and I consider myself pretty intelligent. But the reason I knew what to say and when to say it was because there's a whole team of people who was feeding me stuff. But it sounded like me in my head. It felt like me in my head. And so I just thought it was me. And it wasn't until I was relatively far down my spiritual path that I went, excuse my language, but holy shit, they are handing this to me. And now, because I've explored that, I can feel the difference from when it's me and when it's them and when it's my ego. But it took years of practice to figure that out and working with my team and working with other practitioners and coaches and people to help me figure that out. So sometimes it's just not feeling like what you think. And you'll go, oh, wait, I did know that. So turn off that switch of what you think it's supposed to be because often it won't look or feel like you think it will. So you've got to take off these blinders. Okay. They put these blinders on these horses so they don't get distracted. And we have this saying in our culture like, put the blinders on, stay in your lane, stay focused. In spirituality, you all, in my opinion, the wider you can be when you're trying to figure out what your gift is, what you want to learn, the more you can be kind of open to things flowing in and out of your awareness, the easier it is to find what you do want to focus on first. Okay, so maybe widen those blinders for a little while. You can always put them back on. And it's going to go way faster if you believe you can and that you will. If you are consistently saying to yourself, I can't do this, that doesn't come easily to me, this is really tough for me, it's going to be a difficult thing. And the auras that I was talking about is a perfect example for me. The auras, you heard me say it even in this meeting. I can't see auras. Okay. Now, physically, at this exact moment, if I look at any of you, I am not going to see your aura. However, if I stop and I really tap into my connection with you, I can oftentimes get some sort of results from it. Not necessarily what I want to see, right? Which is the color around you, but I can pick up on the energy around you. So the quicker I shift that into believing that me being able to pick up on that energy around you can help me then move into being able to see the auras and then trusting that I will see the auras in the way that I'm supposed to see the auras, not the way that I think I'm supposed to see the auras, will help me get there faster. And also, I put it into my awareness. I decided to teach an aura class because then I have no excuses. I'm going to learn everything I can about the auras so that all that information is in my background so that it becomes easier and easier and easier. And that is just a tactic that I just put together in the last, I don't know, month because I want to see auras and I have been telling myself forever I can't. It's going to go faster, y'all. Next time y'all talk to me, ask me if I can see auras. Let's see what happens. Okay. Faith can create some movement, but dedicated practice will move mountains. Law of attraction is a beautiful thing. But in my opinion, it is sometimes the biggest detriment to people because a lot of people have this idea if I just think positive thoughts, everything's going to fall into my lap. And sometimes that can happen, which is even more confusing. Sometimes what falls into your lap, though, is an opportunity to do the work to move further and we ignore that, right? We've heard that story, many of you have, about the idea that there was someone out there and he was in a flood and he got up on his roof and he's standing up there and God comes or he's like hold on, let's try the story again. He's standing up on his roof and he's like, I need to get saved, God please help me. Okay. And a guy comes over in a boat and he's like, okay, come on, buddy, let's go. I'm going to move you to safety. And he's like, no, I've asked God to help me. God will help me. Okay. The universe will help me. You hear whatever you need to hear. Next person comes along. Come on, buddy. Let me help you. And he's like, no, no, I don't want to get on that helicopter. God will save me. I asked God, universe, to save me. And when he dies, because he didn't get the help that he needed, he gets to God and he says, why didn't you save me? And God said, why didn't you take the boat? And why didn't you take the helicopter? Sometimes We have to actually take the opportunities that are put in front of us. We have to do the work to actually move things forward. And you're going to get it much faster if you're paying attention to that. And it is a fine line, you guys, because sometimes it feels like, okay, I'm overthinking this and I need to just relax. And sometimes doing the work is doing nothing, which is a big one for me as an overdoer. But I let myself now be guided to those things. And then when I don't know what's next, I stop, I get real quiet, I give myself some space, and then I let the story come together and then I move forward from there. Because here's the thing with space. If you are in this narrow view right here, right, you're only seeing this much of the ocean. If you go and stand on this beach, on this patio here, you're seeing the whole big picture. So the more we narrow what we think, the harder it is for us to see the whole picture. So don't think you can attain total awareness and whole enlightenment without proper discipline and practice. This is egomania. Appropriate rituals channel your emotions and life energy towards the light. Without the discipline to practice them, you will tumble constantly backward into the darkness. Now, I feel like this is a very dramatic quote because I am not the kind of person who does rituals every day. I am not the kind of person who is going to beat myself up if I miss a day of meditation, but I do meditate every day. I'm not the kind of person who feels like every little thing in my life has to be metaphysical or spiritual. I am the kind of person that feels like I need to constantly put one foot in front of the other because if I am sitting still or if I am looking behind me too much, I'm not getting my progress forward. So, the other thing that comes up a lot is I will lose family and friends if I follow this path, right? Okay, if I go into this weird crazy world that we've been talking about, my friends aren't going to get it, my family's not going to get it. And that might be true. To be completely blunt, that might be true. But also, we create these stories of how people are going to react in our heads that are not accurate. They're coming through fear, they're coming through past knowledge of who we think they were without the understanding that they may have grown too. People are so much more adaptable than you think. I cannot tell you how many people who I thought would think I was crazy have completely embraced me as a psychic, have recommended me to their friends, have stood with their, and even the ones who don't, a majority of them who just can't wrap their minds around it, they don't not love me. We just choose what we want to talk about. Okay. Holding space for yourself is really important. Also, holding space for the other people is important because adapting to somebody's new thing can be challenging, right? So, a little bit of patience there can also be beneficial, but make sure you're holding your space for yourself first and foremost. Okay. Because you deserve to be happy and loyalty can be problematic. We have this big thing in our culture: be loyal, be loyal, be loyal. I can be loyal to the idea and to what someone was in my life without allowing them to cause me pain in my life right now. I have countless friends who I am so grateful for because of who they were in my life, but they are no longer in my life because we do not fit each other anymore. And that's okay. Because when I lose them, there's a few things that I get. One, it was rough to lose some of those people in my life, but the pain of me not being free to be my authentic self was torture. It was torture. It was this constant feeling like I had to put on this mask and I just wasn't willing to do it anymore. The other thing that I've tried to do is I act like it's normal. You guys, there's so many things in our society that if we just acted like it was normal, people go, okay, it must be normal, right? But we have this fear of it. And so we make it weirder than it is, right? Like we hide about it or we're like really squirrely about it and we don't need to be. I'm a spiritual. When someone asks me what I do for a living, I say I run a spiritual community and I'm a psychic. And I say it just like I would say I'm an accountant because it's the exact same thing. I make my money from doing this. Okay. And if people don't like it, that's okay. I don't particularly like certain careers either. Right. But it doesn't mean I'm going to like lose my cool at them. So when I say it like it's no big deal, a majority of the time people go, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. Tell me more about it. And then there's those few people who go, oh, okay. And they go away and life goes on. So if we act like it's normal, it will be. Stop looking for a fight. Ooh, y'all, this was something I had to put in mind. If you have decided that everyone's going to want to fight you, then you are coming at them with the energy of a fight. Okay. And so if you come at them with, and I just did this the other day. I had someone who I've been in conflict with, and I was dreading seeing them, dreading seeing them, dreading. And finally, the day of, my guides gave me this beautiful message that was like, what if it was just fine? Like, what if you say hi and they say hi and the world keeps going? So that's what I did. And that's what happened. All of the fear I've had for years about seeing this person, instantly gone. Instantly. So I needed to stop assuming that everything was going to be a fight in there. And I have to quit assuming that when I tell someone what I do for a living, they're going to come at me. It very rarely happens. Okay. Be kind and be respectful and be brave and be ready to be surprised. You guys, I cannot tell you how surprising it has been as I have stepped fully into who I am and continue to do so. How many people are just so excited about it because we are in a shift in our society. Metaphysical stuff and spiritual stuff is not near as weird as it used to be. People are seeing it everywhere. It's not like when, and bless them for going before us. It's not like when some of our practitioners who have been doing this for 40 or 50 years used to have to hide in the back of a bookstore to try to get information. We can Google it on the internet. We can walk out on the street. You guys, I read at a farmer's market in Arvada, which is totally suburbs. And probably 50 some percent of the people I read for are brand new people who have never had a reading, all because I was brave enough to do it and because I respect them. And when someone sits across from me with a different belief system, I don't tell them they're wrong. I say, I think that's really interesting. Do you want to hear what I believe? And then we have a conversation, or we don't, or we don't. And that's okay too. But I'm not looking for a fight anymore. And I am being respectful and kind. Our greatest moments of pain can bring the greatest growth, clarity, and peace. Okay. Doors open to new energy when you create room by clearing out the things in your life that aren't serving your greatest good. Before I started Awkwardly Zen, I had a great group of friends, lovely people, but I knew that there was a new energy I wanted to call into my life. So I sat down and I did what I call a mind map, and I said my new friends, and then I put all these different things that I wanted my new friends to have. I wanted them to travel with me. I wanted them to be interested in the same things as me, but have their own cool things to bring into the relationship. Like I went through this whole thing. And then I looked at it and I said, I believe this or something better. I put it to the side. And I tell you what, you guys, the people I have in my life right now are so amazing. So find your community, find your friends, find your therapy, find your support groups, find the people who don't make you feel like you're doing something wrong. Okay. Here's the kind of thing that can happen when you open up to that. These are just 5 of the hundreds of pictures I have of me with people from Awkwardly Zen who have truly become some of my best friends in the world. And I didn't know them 4 years ago. But by clearing space for myself to call in the new, I found all of these amazing people. And I'm so grateful for that. And that is a continuous process for me. Now, another fear thing is I can't, okay? I can't meditate. I can't feel anything. I can't make time. I can't hear my guides. I can't believe. I can't open my mind. I can't stop my habits. I can't choose myself. One of these probably resonates with you. Okay. If not, you have your own can'ts. Whether you believe you can or not, you're right. Okay. If you are constantly saying, I can't do this, yep, you got it. Imagine if we let children stay in can't energy. If they said, I can't do math, and we went, okay, you just don't ever have to do math, we wouldn't have all the amazing things that we have in our world right now. If they said, I can't read, and we said, okay, that's it, we have to help ourselves like we would a child move into the can, okay? And working with our inner child can be really good for this because a lot of the times that's the little piece of us that has that fear. I can't do this. Well, what if you could? And let's talk about that. Sometimes we can't go from I can't to I can. It's too much of a jump. Okay. And especially for some of you who are really stuck in that I can't energy, and no judgment because I've been there before, give yourself grace. Okay. A stumble is not the end of the road. So if you say I can't, it's not the time to beat yourself up and be like, God, I'm so stupid. Why do I keep saying I can't? It's the time to sit for a second and go, okay, hold on. Maybe I can. But if you can't get there yet, start with I can't. go to I don't think I can. I don't think I can makes you realize that it's you that's thinking it, right? I maybe can. It's a possibility I can. That's what that means. I think I can. I think I can do that. I think I can read auras to I can do this. Then you work on cutting out the middleman. I can't. Maybe I can. I can. That's one of the things that comes up a lot in coaching sessions is just say maybe. Well, maybe I can do that because that is just the start of your brain working in a different way. And that'll help you get to the I can. And once this becomes a practice for you guys, I can't tell you how easy it is for me now to go from I can't to I can because it's something that I practice on a daily basis. Now, remember when you didn't get these habits, these negative habits overnight, they will take time and effort to change. So this is why it's important not to beat yourself up. If every time that I have fallen into a pit of despair during my spiritual path, I would have quit and not been kind to myself and gotten out of it, y'all would not be sitting here with me. But every time I've had to stop and go, okay, hold on. I'm going to sit in this muck for a while because right now it just feels like where I need to be, or I'm going to take a nap, or I'm going to cry for a while. And then what am I going to do to move forward with it? And then I shift those habits. And now it is so much easier. Now, instead of the pit of despair for days, it's the pit of despair for a couple hours and sometimes even minutes. Love that. Okay, friends, we're going to meditate. Let me stop sharing for a second. Okay, you all get ready for meditation. I'm going to go grab my meditation off the printer. I will be right back. And then I will be back in a second too if we have any questions before we start. But get yourselves comfortable. Get to a place that you can sit for a little bit. It's not a super long meditation, but I'll be right back. See how I thought I was prepared? And I love myself anyway. Okay, so look at that, you guys. It was an obstacle. The world did not burn down, and none of you hate me because I had to run out to my printer. Not a big deal. Okay. So everyone get comfortable. Is there any questions, Jacqueline, that we need to answer before we get going? Looks like we're good. Okay, perfect. Okay, so get yourselves comfortable. Here's what I want to say. My friends out there who say I cannot meditate, which you're going to shift that, right? I don't want you to panic. There is no right or wrong for this meditation. We're going to go in through it, and I'm going to talk about it like you're going to see it. And for some of you, you will. For some of you, you're not going to see anything. It's not the way that you work, and that's okay. I want you to listen to the words come through and allow yourself to go wherever you are led. Okay. If that means that you go off into a totally different world, that's okay. If thoughts keep coming back into your head and that's keeping you out of the moment, try to come back to your breath. Okay. And just slowly let those thoughts flow away. And if you can't, the world's not going to end. Okay. This whole thing's going to be recorded. You can go back and try it again sometime, or there's a million other options for you to practice meditation. So don't panic on this one, okay? If you see things differently than what I say, go ahead and go with it. Or remember that this is your world. So if I say something pops into your view, it can. This isn't like walking down the street. This is in your mind. You can have anything pop up. So just go with the flow as much as possible. All right. Now, everyone go ahead and start. Let's take some deep breaths in whatever way feels right to you. I like to breathe in through my nose and out through pursed lips, but you do whatever is comfortable. I want you to focus on the fresh breath coming in to nourish your body. Let's sit in gratitude for that breath that's coming in and also for the breath that we're letting go of. As you exhale, go ahead and let go of anything that's not serving you for this meditation. Any discomfort, confusion, frustration. Feel yourself just kind of sink into your own body. Let go of that tension. Just keep breathing. Now, as you settle into your breath, I want you to visualize yourself on a path. This is a representation of your spiritual path. Notice what it looks like. Remember, there is no right or wrong. Just look around and notice. Just be. Now allow your focus to go to your other senses. How does the space feel? Can you smell anything? What are you seeing? Just be aware for a moment. Now, in a second, we are going to turn around and look behind us. I want you to take a deep breath and know that you might not like everything you've seen. But go ahead and take that deep breath and turn around. Look behind you. Look at how long that path is and how far you've come. Take a moment and send some gratitude back to where you came from. Send gratitude to the lessons you've learned along the way, to all the obstacles you've overcome. Be grateful for the knowledge that everything you have gone through has brought you right here to this moment. Let's take a deep breath and just be in that gratitude for a moment. Now we're going to turn back around and look at the path in the direction you are wanting to go. Forward. What do you see? Is it light? Is it dark? Are there people? What do you notice when you look down the path? Now, as you prepare to step forward and move into the future, an obstacle pops up directly in front of you, stopping you right where you are. What is it? Is it a wall? Is it a person? Is it a barrier? Take a minute to really look at this obstacle. What does it represent? What is holding you back from stepping into the future? Now take a moment and see how this obstacle makes you feel. Really feel into it. Where in your body do you feel the emotion tied to this obstacle? Take a minute and just be with that feeling. Now, I want you to imagine that that feeling starts moving within your body. It's being drawn to the area right above your belly button. It can't help but move and adapt there because this is your solar plexus chakra, and this is where your power lies. You have so much power within you. You have all the power you need right at your core. Feel the feeling adapt as it hits the bright yellow light of your solar plexus chakra. Feel it change into a knowing that you will figure this obstacle out. You will work your way around it. Allow yourself to feel the excitement of the adventure of overcoming a challenge. Allow yourself to get excited about what is on the other side and who you are capable of being, who you truly are when you are living in your authentic self. Feel that excitement start to spread through your body and your chakras. Feel it anchor in your root chakra at the base of your spine, allowing you to be grounded and feel safe. Feel it move up through your sacral chakra. Find the passion you need. Find it back, getting more power at the solar plexus chakra and moving up to your heart chakra, your throat chakra, up through your third eye and to the tip top of your head where your crown chakra will connect your energy with the divine. You are divine. You are connected. You are worthy. Now, with this renewed energy and this newfound power, I want you to look to your side and notice what is sitting next to your path. It's a tool to help you overcome the obstacle in front of you. What is it? Be comfortable in knowing that you completely know how to use this tool to work through this challenge on your path. You always have the knowledge you need to work out the answer. Nothing will stop you. Grab whatever it is next to you and use it to vanquish this obstacle. As you work your way through it, feel the energy of can. You can. You always can. Now, as you get to the other side of this obstacle, let's pause and have amazing gratitude for what you've just accomplished. Let us send gratitude to the obstacle itself for allowing you to stop and pay attention for a moment. Let's send gratitude to the knowing within yourself of how to get through this challenge. Let's be grateful for our connection to the divine, which allows us to tap into our divine power at any moment. And let us be grateful for the opportunities that lie ahead to learn and to have an adventurous life. Just be present in the feelings, the energy, and the wonder of all that you are capable of. Now, when you're ready, come back to where you're sitting in our human reality. Maybe wiggle your toes and your fingers. Allow the good feeling of the meditation to stay with you as you come back into this realm, and any negativity or worries to stay behind. Welcome back. All right. Let me share my screen again. Now, when we meditate, what we actually do is enter into a deeper part of our being. At that time, we're able to bring to the fore the wealth that we have deep inside of us, deep within us. Because I love that aspect. And for some of you, that might not have gone well. For some of you, that was a total miss, and that's okay. Not every meditation is going to resonate with every single person. So please don't feel like if that didn't work for you, you failed in any way. It just means that this isn't the time for you for that one. But for those of you who did see all of this, I want you to go ahead and read these questions, okay? And maybe you might want to grab a piece of paper. You might want to just think through them a little bit. But I'm giving you just a minute to kind of look through these and think about it. And then we're going to open it up. And if anyone wants to share, we'll let that happen for just a second. All right. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, and stop sharing for just a second. Okay. Is there anyone who wants to share about something that kind of surprised them with that? You can raise your reaction hand to get into line to speak. I can also, anyone on their camera, I can kind of see like this, or you can put it over in the chat. Yeah, Ashley.
Hi.
Hi.
My path is a hopscotch path,
Okay.
but like my block was a hula hoop.
Okay.
It sounds right, but I thought that was kind of funny.
That's funny. And what did you use to vanquish the block?
Scissors.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that so much, Ashley. And here's what I love about that. For you in particular, I would say that that means that your inner child is ready. Like she's like, let's do this, right? So bringing her into the picture more often, and also like maybe go draw some hopscotch outside and see. I do love the idea of hopping through your path instead of just like trudging through it. So that lightheartedness is a beautiful thing for sure. Thank you so much for sharing. Lynn. Oh, Lynn, I'm gonna have to have you unmute. Let's see. Are you there, Lynn? Hold on. Let's see. Try now, Lynn, to unmute yourself there. Yeah, Jen, let me grab those questions for us while Lynn's working on unmuting herself. Roxy, go ahead and share with us while we're waiting for Lynn.
Yeah,
Hi.
hi, hello, and nice to see all you beautiful people. I recognize you guys, some of you guys, and you guys are great. I would just like to comment and say that this meditation was pure gold. The whole lesson was incredibly pure gold. But yeah, this was so good. I just
Thank
comment.
you. Well, thank you so much, Roxy. I appreciate that. Lynn, for some reason it's not working. So if you want to put your comments over in the chat, that would be great. Does anyone else have anything they want to share before we go on? Okay, well, let me share my screen one more time, and we're almost to the point where we're going to get to do the fun stuff, you guys, even though I think all of this is fun. If you really had a deep connection with that, I would suggest taking a few little notes so that you don't forget, and maybe spending some time with that after it, you guys. That kind of meditation can sometimes bring up a whole lot of big energy. So make sure you're drinking water. And also, if you didn't have the time, because we went through it kind of fast, to really deal with whatever it was, maybe go back to that spot a little later on your own and spend some time with it. See what needs to happen. And always remember that you can absolutely take the stuff that is not something you're ready to face right now and put it back on the shelf. In the back of my mind, y'all, there's a big shelving unit and there's lots of boxes sitting on that shelving unit. I don't take every box off at once. I take one down at a time and I peek in it and I go, yep, ready to deal with that. Got to deal with it today. The rest of them, I go ahead and leave up there. I'm a big believer that when the big heavy boxes need to be dealt with, I'm going to do that with my therapist, because there's things, or one of my spiritual coaches, people I work with here, because there's things I don't want to deal with on my own. So please, you guys, take care of yourselves first and foremost, and know that the intention is not to like tear open every wound or every trauma. Be gentle with yourselves for sure. Okay. Okay, so, and I do want to acknowledge something that came over in the chat here. Saw a dark night, fear in my heart, and used a wrench to break it up emotionally. That's really beautiful, Bonnie. And it's hard sometimes when you're in a meditation and that darkness can come up. But I love that you found something that you were really able to use to help break that out. I just think I get chills when I read that. So thank you so much for sharing it. Okay, Lynn saw lots of different traffic and noise when she looked back, looking forward, a beautiful, sunny, peaceful, quiet path, and didn't see any obstacles. Oh, I love that, Lynn. Love that. So now you know that you can always pop back into that meditation if you feel like an obstacle's coming up, and maybe you can get some insight about whatever that obstacle is. Yeah, Brad.
Hi, I just had a quick question, and every
Sure.
time I meditate afterwards, I'm extremely thirsty. Like I
Okay.
just chug half a bottle of water.
Yeah.
It could be a 5-minute meditation, a 10-minute meditation, but it's every time I meditate afterwards that extreme thirst comes on. Is
Yeah.
that a sign of something, or is that normal?
So I don't know, to be completely honest with you, but I will say I definitely have meditations that bring up that thirst in me. It feels to me, Brad, and I feel like I've interacted with you enough in some of these meetings that I'm probably spot on with this. You have big energy and you do a lot of energy work, right? Okay.
Yes,
So
you would say so.
when you're shifting stuff and you're doing that, your body's going to react to that, in my opinion. And so the thirst thing doesn't shock me. It also
Okay.
wouldn't surprise me though, if you do believe in past lives, if you didn't find that there was some past life where you didn't have enough water, or maybe you died of dehydration. And that's just a whim that I went on, but just it could be that that is part of your trauma from your past, that your body is like, okay, we got to make sure we take care of ourselves.
Okay.
So maybe explore that if that's something that's interesting to you. Sometimes the weird shit, you guys, is the stuff that is tied into a past life or something that we have no access to. And again, this is just my opinion. Yeah,
Thank you.
Tiffany.
Always takes me forever to unmute. Sorry.
That's okay.
So I get very emotional. You've seen me, you know how I get. I definitely know I'm a clear empath. I just don't know how to move forward with that.
Mm,
You know, I try to talk to my guides, but maybe I can hear them. How about
okay.
that?
Ooh,
Better
okay.
wording.
I like that. I like that.
But I can feel things
Mm-hmm.
a lot better. But like even with my tarot reading, I don't know how to put that into effect.
Okay.
Like with just the meditation, I very much got teary-eyed.
Okay. So, Tiffany, here's what I'm going to say about that. And this is not just for you in this room. So, everyone else who just went, got a little punch in the gut here. You ready? Listen up. So, when for me, the emotion comes up like that, it is usually because there is stuff within myself I have to let out. If you have been a stuffer of emotions like I have for a lot of your life, because we've got to play the perfect part, we've got to be the perfect kid, we've got to be the perfect spouse, we got to be the perfect employee, we've got to do all this stuff. And so we've been shoving stuff down for a long time. As we go down our spiritual paths, it starts to open. And so as you are hitting this point and you're like, oh, and I can feel it right now, Tiffany, when you're going down this road and your body is like, oh, I want to do that. I want to explore this. Sometimes it's hidden under a layer of an emotion, right? And if we don't let that emotion out, it's going to be harder for it to get through. So for me, whenever I have those things, whenever I start wanting to cry out of the blue or something's going on, what I do first and foremost is I try to get to a point where I can let that emotion out. I will get in my car and drive to the middle of a parking lot and scream my bloody head off until I am like bawling, rage, crying because it gets it out. Or like now I just start weeping randomly. And I just let myself do it. I did it at the grocery store the other day. Yes, did people look at me sideways? Absolutely. But it didn't matter. The emotion was coming out. So I was letting that come through. So perhaps when you feel that, that might be the first step, is to go ahead and lean into the emotion and just sit and cry. Instead of trying to do the meditation, instead of trying to get the answer, instead of trying to push through it, just be in it for a minute and see if that clears out some of the haze, because that's what it feels like, is there's a haze around you. Well, and it's interesting because Ashley just said, does anyone else see a purple haze when they meditate? Haze can be something that's really positive. It can also be something that's kind of like a, okay, let's clear this out and let it clear up the fog. Lean into those emotions, especially because our empaths and our clairsentient people, the clair feeling people, you guys have spent most of your lives just sucking up everybody's stuff. And so some of the stuff you're holding on to is not even yours. So getting rid of some of that, Tiffany, I think will open up some doors for you. And when you lighten that load a little bit, I think your messages are going to come in so much more clearly. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank you.
I know. Sorry. Go cry like a baby, Tiffany. That's the answer.
No, it's a happy cry too.
Good. Yeah, happy cries are great as well. It's just letting ourselves be an emotion is not something we are taught, especially as women, not to say men that you are. We're taught to like stuff it down. And then men, you're told to be manly. Gotta be manly. Don't cry. Like it's such a destructive thing that we have created in our society. And it took me a long time. My husband's a crier, and the first time he like weeped out wailing, I was like, oh my God, what is happening here? What are we doing? Now I love it. So it was an adaptation on my part as well. All right, Lynn, and then we're going to go back to just for a second to the slides, and then we'll come back to questions and then do some readings. Go ahead, Lynn.
Okay, is it normal to feel dizzy or lightheaded, almost even to the point of nauseated after meditating?
Okay, so I am not a doctor, and please, everyone, take care of your mental health and your physical health for sure. That being said, often I have issues like that. And I'm not even going to call it an issue because now I kind of like it. I would say if it's something that's happening right after you're meditating every time, it could just be because you're kind of going between what I would call realms. If it's something that happens to you regularly throughout the day, maybe go see a doctor about it. But definitely that lightheadedness can happen. Just out of curiosity, those of our on camera who meditate often, how many of you sometimes get lightheaded? Any of you? Okay. So yeah, you're not alone in that, Lynn.
Okay, it's almost like a vibration even.
Totally. When I fully get deep into meditation, I get thick is what I call it. It feels like my body is no longer in the form that my body is here. Like everything just feels a little thicker, and that takes me a minute to come out of. Brad says a tingle in my scalp, so I think everyone's going to feel it in a slightly different way. Lynn, just out of curiosity, and I think I know the answer to this, but let's see. Do you feel like tingles and nudges and stuff during the day? Like do you feel like your guides and stuff communicate with you in that way?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
My
So
fingers will tingle.
yeah, clairsentience is probably one of your strongest gifts, which is that clair feeling. And also clair empathy also might be like what Tiffany was talking about there. In my psychic development class, we talk about all of those clairs and kind of do that. But oftentimes if there's something that you're feeling more often than not, that just means that that's how your team is communicating with you. Okay, 1 second. Let me share my screen one more time and just show you. I'm going to shamelessly promote myself just for a minute, you guys, because that's one of my roadblocks. Okay. So here's some stuff that I have going on. First of all, if you are on Instagram, please go follow me. I'm starting to do really funny, silly videos. I will be loud enough to say they're funny. I think I'm hilarious. So, and I also do card pulls on there so you can get kind of some free readings as time goes on. I also do psychic work, tarot, and coaching, and you can find that on Snipfeed. Jacqueline's going to put that information over on the side. I do have a special going on right now for the next week. Yes, where you can do psychic development and coaching work one-on-one with me, and that's buy 3 sessions and get 1 free. So you can find that on my Snipfeed. I also have a tarot special going on for 30-minute psychic tarot readings for only $50. The regular $75 for that 30 minutes. So you can check that out. And then starting in April, I have a 4-week Tarot Made Easy course. Let me say this real quick. If you are looking for a tarot course that's going to go through every single symbol and like make you memorize, I'm not your girl. I am much more about intuition, feeling into the cards, and then teaching you all the basics of it to feel comfortable with doing readings. So that starts in April. And then if you are in the Denver area, I have 2 in-person things going on this week. Tomorrow I'm doing charm readings at Cat's Eye Crystals. And then on Thursday, I am teaching my in-person psychic development class. An online psychic development class will be coming, and you guys can find that on awkwardlyzen.com. And then let me get out of here, and we're going to take any questions. While we're taking questions, if you are interested in getting a little mini coaching session today, I want you to put pick me over in the chat. I'm going to be making a list of all of you, and then we'll do a random number generator to figure out who gets to go next. So go ahead and do that over there. But does anyone have any questions about what we talked about today, that kind of thing, before we go into those coaching sessions? I'm going to hold for just a second. Okay, go ahead, Roxy.
Yeah, so I actually wrote a couple of questions. I don't know if this is even related. I'll just go ahead with it.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So how do we know when it is resonance and when it is intuition?
When is it resonance and when is it intuition? Let me ask you this, Roxy, what's the difference between those 2 things to you?
What a rhetorical question, and I
Mm.
love it. Yeah, no, I mean the difference is like, for example, like, going through our experiences and etc., and we feel those emotions. We like, of course, as like, empaths, it's like, yes, we can feel certain emotions, but it's kind of like it may just lead into self-doubt. Like if anything, it's kind of like, huh, what energy is mine? What is theirs? What are my experiences and what are theirs?
Okay, so let's broaden that out to how do we tell the difference between all the energies? Okay, because that'll answer lots of people's questions, I think. And this is how I have done it, y'all. And when I work with someone one-on-one, then we usually tap in and figure out kind of what's holding you back, what things you're struggling with. And it is very different depending on which gifts you have. However, all of us, and I'm going to be very direct with that, all of us have intuition. Okay. All of you in this room have psychic abilities. Okay. I don't believe for a second anyone in this world doesn't have psychic abilities of some sort or another, or intuitive abilities or channeling abilities, whatever you want to call it. Psychic makes people freak out. So, like, take that off the plate if it makes you freak out. The challenge is how do we feel into ourselves and know when it is us, when it is our intuition, when it is our guides, when is it our angels, all of those things. For me personally, each one of them has a slightly different energy to it. Okay. A slightly different, I say tone, even though I don't hear them, but it feels differently to me. There's a knowing that I have that is just slightly different. Now, that took a long time for me. So the way that I suggest this is when something happens and you do know what it is, lean in. Okay. So if I'm sitting there and I know something about somebody that I have no business knowing, that is something that has been given to me by either my guides, their guides, whatever. At that exact moment, stop and feel what is going on with me. What just happened? Did it come from a certain area? Am I feeling something in my body? Did I hear something? Really explore what that feels like. Because what's going to happen for a majority of you is you'll start going, oh, wait a minute. And here's the thing that's very cool. It's different for everyone. Jacqueline and I both work with the elements. Okay. For me, when they come in, I can feel the difference between water and her energy versus the earth energy. I call water her and earth him, even though they're not, and I can feel his energy. Jacqueline feels them in different places of her body. So she knows it's water because it's showing up in one spot, and she knows it's earth because it's showing up in another. So we do the exact same work in totally different ways. So that's where it becomes a challenge to say, okay, it's going to be just like this because there's 30 of us in this room and each one of us are going to be slightly different in what happens with it, right? We might have some of the same things, but lean into that. Now, intuition versus ego is a big one because a lot of times our ego will kind of pop up and make us think we're being intuitive, but usually ego has a little bit of an edge to it. Okay. Ego's the mean boy or girl voice in our head that comes up and is like, you're stupid. Sometimes ego is nice though. Sometimes ego's like, oh, come on now, honey, you can't do that. Like, that's just not something that's going to work for us. I have never heard spirit guides guide us to the negative. Okay. I have never heard our teams say, you can't do this or you're dumb or anything like that. They're always going to be loving. They're always going to be in that. So if you are getting a loving message that is like, okay, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be like all in, right? It might be like, okay, I'm going to go jump out of an airplane. My ego's going to go, you stupid idiot. Let's not do that, right? Or let's do it. Who cares? We're going to just burn the world down, right? Whereas my guides might be like, hey, you don't really know how to jump out of an airplane and you're not 20 anymore. So what would it be like to land? Let's figure some of this stuff out before we go and do it. Okay? Not telling me no, just working with me on that. So sometimes it's the case of like just working with it. Now, again, it's practice, you guys, and every one of you are going to be different, but really start trying to feel the difference of things that are coming in with you. And if you do start working with multiple entities, like I work with spirit guides, I work with angels, I work with ancestors, I work with people who have passed, I work with the elements, and I work with different entities other than that sometimes, each one of them comes through with a different energetic pulse to me. So I'm able to go through that. But again, that was a practice. So just pause and get quiet, and try not to jump to conclusions. I will say that for sure. Hopefully that answered your questions. I was all over the place there. Ashley, go ahead.
I was wondering, So I guess like my journey is a little different than most people's. I was kind of like I was a homeless drug addict, and I had my spiritual awakening like a smack in the face type of
Okay.
like I was atheist and all of the things, right? And then things started happening that I really couldn't deny that there was something else, right? So
Right.
sobered up and like took, got my life together, but
Yay.
I struggle with what I'm starting to experience, and then believing that it's actually happening. Like, so
Totally.
there's like clairaudient stuff maybe happening, but also like I have, like my support team is like mental health people, so they'll tell me that it's an episode, and then I shut down real quick.
So yeah, Ashley, you're talking about something that it's really challenging, especially for someone who has been in an addiction world or anything like that. And again, I am not a therapist at all, and I do really believe that if you can find a mental health professional who understands spirituality and who is willing, like
Not yet.
my last therapist, like I could say I channeled this and she'd go, okay. Like there wasn't any you're schizophrenic or you're losing your mind. And that can be really challenging within the spiritual world. And especially if any of you are from other countries, I know that the mental health world in some countries is really, really rough. And I'm saying that as an American. So like it can be rough for sure, Ashley. Here's my thing. I always set the intention when I'm doing spiritual work that I am keeping one foot in reality. Okay, and that's a loose term, but for me,
Right,
what
yeah.
reality means is the what the general public is experiencing, and I keep one foot in my spiritual world. Okay. And the reason I do that is because I can tell you that there have been multiple times on my path that something has happened to me that I've been like, I have officially lost my mind.
Yeah, yep, yeah.
Okay. I have officially lost when the elements came through, y'all. I was like, okay, forget it.
Right, but you also know, like what you're
Totally.
seeing and do, like
And
your intuition is like, girl, you got this, but you're
yes.
also like, yeah.
So here, but it's tough, right? It's a tough thing to do. Having friends, and I hear you say that right now that's not there for you, but the more you hang out in groups like this, the more you will find people who you can have actual conversations with. Awkwardly Zen, we have 4 Zen Zooms a week. Zen Zooms are an open conversation where you can come in and say all of the weird and nobody's going to judge you.
Yeah, I've been trying to get to, and this is my first, and I see
Well,
them all
I'm
the
so
time.
glad.
Safe space does sound good.
I'm so glad. But the reason we created Awkwardly Zen and the reason it was so important was for that, because it does help to have people where you can say, hey, my best friend Valerie, who runs her own spiritual group, she's a huge part of Awkwardly Zen. I cannot tell you how many times I've sent her a message that said, this just happened to me. Have I lost my mind? And she's able to talk through it with me. Yeah.
Right.
She's able to talk through it with me and help me figure out what the next steps are, what we need to do. If you feel like it is too much, stop. Okay, you guys, like this is not the time to push yourselves into a psychotic breakdown. And that happens within the spiritual world. And we don't freaking talk about it because we're all like, everything is love and light and no, sometimes our brains really struggle with what is happening to us here. And as a collective, we are in this weird world where we're just like raising up. So what we need to do as a collective is take care of ourselves and take care of one another. There are times, the elements are a perfect example. I let them in and then I'd be like, nope, we're not dealing with this today. I'm going to go just be normal for a minute. And the more I eased into it, the more I didn't feel like I was crazy. The more I could start figuring out what the communication was. I felt like it was all good. I surround myself with love and light all day, every day. Every piece of jewelry I have, the intention is that when I put it on my body, I am in a shield of love and light. I'm protected. I've asked my grandmother to be with me. I have my guides that are with me. I have angels that are with me. I every day start off with that. I put essential oil on before every Zoom meeting so that I am even creating another barrier of, okay, I'm protecting myself. And that helps me realize that I'm going to be okay. But then I also have my therapist who I say, this is what's going on. Here's how I feel about it. This is how I need support with it. And because my therapist does have a spiritual background, we do well. If you don't, I know that that can be tough, and especially if you've dealt with the addiction and the things in the past, like that can be really challenging, and I don't have all the answers for that, but I would say ease into it. Don't throw yourself off the cliff. Okay. Good luck, Ashley. We'll be your people. You come hang out with us. You can say all the weird. Dark night of the soul is a real thing for sure. Brad's talking about like when like the deepest darkest, right? Like a lot of times before you have the light, it gets real heavy in here. And it sometimes happens multiple times, right? Like every time I think, here's the thing, when somebody says to me, I'm healed, I I have to bite my tongue to not laugh. Because to me, this is a constant. We are constantly going to be working through stuff. We learn new stuff. We have new experiences coming through. And every time I've ever thought, yeah, I've made it, the universe is like, oh, you're cute. Let's see what happens here. And again, not testing me, giving me a beautiful opportunity to grow more in myself and to learn that there's always something else to do. But be gentle with yourselves, you guys, because this can be really heavy work. And there is times that you don't want to do this alone, especially if you're looking at shadow work or you're going through a dark night of the soul or you're struggling with something. Some people have trouble with a variety of things in spirituality. If you can, don't do it alone. Okay, don't do it alone. And Ashley, we've got someone in the chat saying they're also recovering from addiction. That's a big thing in our world, y'all, because for one thing, some of the stuff that y'all did thin the veil a little bit, right? Like your sense of reality and what everyone else's sense of reality was real different for a while. And so sometimes coming out of that, spirituality is what can help with healing. And I hope that that's the case for all of you. Okay, you guys, I want to do some, yeah, Jacqueline.
There's a question in chat.
Okay.
Bonnie's asking, how can I learn to trust myself?
It's a process. And without knowing your exact details, Bonnie, I know it can be tough. If you are somebody who has never trusted yourself with anything, it comes back to that little grid I had that goes down the line. Instead of going from I can't to I can, go into maybe I can trust myself. Okay. You know what? Today I'm going to trust myself. Okay, I trust myself. Like it's an ease into it thing if it's something that you've been dealing with forever. If it's something about messages, here is the best way, 100%, give messages to other people. When you read for yourself or when you get messages for yourself, it is way too easy to come back at yourself and be like, I made that up. That's not accurate. I'm just hearing what I want to hear. When you do it for someone else, when you're sitting with your best friend or somebody, and make sure you have permission, y'all. But if you tap into them and you say, here's what I'm getting about you, and they go, oh my God, how did you know that? All of a sudden, it's much easier to trust yourself because you're getting that feedback. I know lots of different people. Even last night, the woman who was teaching the tea reading to me and Kandara, she was like, I use the book when I read my own tea leaves. She's been doing it since she was 3 years old and her grandma taught her, and she still uses the book. I've been doing tarot for years and years and years. I still use the book for me. I never will pick the book up when I'm reading for someone else or when I'm teaching, but for me, my guides know that I don't trust myself, so I use the book. So sometimes setting up some things like that can be really helpful as well. If you aren't ready to read for other people, use tools. Get oracle cards, get tarot cards, get whatever you want to use, and you pull a card every single day. Because as you start seeing these messages really correlate with your life, you start having faith more in the bigger part of it, in the spirit guides, in the angels, in all of that. And that really is helpful. Okay, let's see. All right. So I've got a list of people over here. As I always do, the first person to write pick me was Melanie. So Melanie, we're going to come over to you first. I do not see you. Where are you? Is Melanie still here? Oh, there she is. Hi.
Hi.
Okay. So what's your challenge? What would you like me to help you with?
My challenge is, well, probably comes down to patience, but I want to be able to do something kind of like I want to be you want to grow up in a
Okay.
sense. I want to help and I want to be able to share
Yeah.
what I'm able to utilize and tap into, and I want to share it on a larger scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no clue where to begin, how to start. And so because of that, and wondering if maybe now I'm just not meant to, I'm,
Okay. Time out, Melanie.
Yep,
First
I
of all,
know.
can I tap into your guides and angels?
Please.
Okay. When you say the words, maybe I'm not meant to, what does everything in your body do?
Well, it makes me feel sad is what it
Okay.
does.
And do you think that you're here on this world to be sad?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So if you're saying something and it's making you sad, that's not the direction. Okay. So let's just take that off the plate. Let's take that off the
Okay.
plate. Like, I'm not
Okay.
here to do this, off the plate. Now, you might not be here to do it in the way you think you're here to do it. And that's something to keep in mind, right? Because if you would have told me 6 years ago that I would be sitting in this room doing psychic coaching for 30 people, I'd be like, you, excuse my language, but can fuck right off. Because there is no way that I am going to do that as a human being. And the first time tarot cards said, hey, pull me and start reading for money, I was like, nope, 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 not going to do it. So what I thought I was going to do in my life and what I'm doing is very different. But what I had to follow was that drive, that thing that was like, yep, I'm supposed to do this. And you said it. You said, I want to do this more than anything, right? I want to share my gifts. I want to help other people. I want to be there. And there are no shortage of people who are getting called to that. Let me just say this, Melanie, you did it. Today you came to this because you went, I want to know what the next step is. You took the next step. Everyone in this room took the next step by coming today. So for a minute, everyone just celebrate that for yourselves. I can feel in you, Melanie, and your guides are like, you do not celebrate yourself. It is always what should I be doing more? Why can't I figure this out? I don't know how to do this, all of that, instead of, oh my gosh, I just did this and that was really amazing, right? You get excited for a second, but you're not truly taking the moment to really be like, yeah, I'm doing this. Now, as far as the next steps for doing it for work, it's a process for sure. However, there are no shortage of free classes out there and classes you can pay for. Okay. Awkwardly Zen has business classes that come up, so you can come to those and see that. Coming to groups and talking to people, talking to practitioners. How did you get started? Finding that out. Being a part of that can really help you with what those next steps are going to be. Okay. What things do I need to do? First and foremost, start doing what you do already. Okay. What is it? Do you know what your gift is right now?
My main one is mediumship, and then I also got healing that I'm trying to look into because
Okay.
I haven't.
So look up mediumship circles, okay, and find other mediums that you can practice with. And then that's where the communication starts happening, talking to people about, well, what steps did you take next?
Right, but I don't want to be just a professional medium. I want to be kind of like a spiritual coach that offers all, I mean, I'm a nurse that offers
Totally.
everything that has helped me in my life. I want to be able to incorporate
So
it all.
Melanie, what's stopping you?
I don't know where to begin.
Okay. But when I said do a mediumship circle, your first answer was, I don't want to just be a medium.
Well, that's because all the people that I mean, boy, it does sound like I'm throwing a lot of butts in there. But as of now, the people that I've talked to just do the mediumship,
Yeah.
and I
Okay.
just don't see
So
me doing
then
it.
if that's something that's getting you kind of caught in a bind because you feel like if you do that, that's going to keep you there, then find another kind of practice circle. Okay. Or take you guys, there's udemy.com. There's no shortage of classes you can take that are coaching classes. You can get certified, whatever. I'm not certified as a coach, you guys, because I do it, and I could go get certified. It's up to you. But if that would make you feel better, or there's classes on there that you can take to figure out how to become a coach, to do that kind of thing. You can talk to other coaches about it. I don't think my guides just put the reins on me. They pull back like I'm a damn horse sometimes. I was going to say, I don't think anyone is only one thing, and that's not necessarily true. Some people really like to just sit in the one energy of things, and they might be just a medium. For you, it sounds like you want to broaden that out, but you have to start somewhere. I didn't start as a spiritual coach. I started by starting this community, and then I started slowly teaching some things, and then I did my tarot readings, and I really tapped into my psychic gifts, and then I started doing psychic readings, and then I started doing elemental readings, and then I brought in coaching. Okay? Because I had to get my feet underneath me And I had a lot to learn, and I still learn every day. So once I did those other things and I started doing that with other people, then I started charging for it. And once I started charging for it and doing all of that, I gained more confidence. I got my reputation, and then I'd bring in something new. And then I'd bring in something new. It is a very vast world, and we're not going to cover that here in a 10-minute reading, but there are so many little things. But the first step is start doing it. Start doing it, whatever that means to you. If it's taking a class, take a class. If it's actually doing it, if it's, hey, I'm working on starting to coach, I need 4 people who are willing to sit down with me and have a coaching session
Never
for
thought
free.
about that.
Okay. My tarot readings, y'all, it was energetic exchange for a long time. Kendara was one of the first people who I read for. It was terrifying. I said, Kendara, I'm going to do tarot readings. I really need to do readings. Can we do tarot readings? And Kendara, who was my friend at the time, was like, oh, Kendara's the best, you guys. So it was beautiful. But find your friends and offer it and start doing it. And then once you get your feet underneath you, the next thing will present itself. Source is waiting for you to take those steps. So it'll present, and then your job becomes seeing the opportunities as they arise. Seeing the thing that comes up of like, okay, I'm in this group on Facebook and they're talking about needing a coach. I'm going to be that person. I'm going to say, I'm just starting my coaching business. I'd love to do a session for you for an energetic exchange. Or if you want to trade something for a session, or I'm charging this much right now. It's all about watching those opportunities present themselves. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then Melanie, if it's too tough for you, find a coach, find somebody who can help you one-on-one and talk through your specifics, because this is a real generalized thing, so it gets to everybody. But yeah, finding that can be really good. And there's no shortage. There's no shortage. You don't resonate with me, there's going to be someone you resonate with. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Brad said you're already a healer as a nurse. For sure. Absolutely. So bringing all of that in is great. And honestly, you guys, I cannot tell you how many people we just brought in our first MD as a partner on the Awkwardly Zen webpage. We also have another MD who's talking about coming and hanging out with us soon. We've got a ton of therapists, a ton of nurses. Like the science world and the metaphysics world is crossing over. And I think that's beautiful. Let's do it more. All right. The next person who's going to come on, Brad, it's you.
Yay. My block is how to tackle intrusive thoughts that randomly interfere at any time of the day from past traumas.
Mm-hmm. Me too, Brad. Me too. Those intrusive
Yeah,
thoughts, they're a real bitch. Okay. So let me ask you this and only answer what you're comfortable with. First of all, can I tap into your guides and your angels?
of course.
Okay. Are you currently, I'm getting a resounding yes. Do you feel like you are dealing with these traumas and doing some work on them?
Yes.
Okay.
EMDR therapy.
Beautiful. Yeah, I could feel them. They were like nodding emphatically. Okay. So your team is absolutely on your side. And those intrusive thoughts are getting less and less and less, right?
They are.
Okay. So what they need more from you than anything else is celebration instead of fear. When those intrusive thoughts come up, instantly fall into the knowing that this is nothing like it was a year ago. This is nothing like it was 5 years ago. Okay, instantly. Like that's the first thing. Let whoever on your team know that you work closest with. And if you don't know who it is, just say, whoever's out there helping me out. When that intrusive thought comes in, I need you to be right there to say, this too shall pass. And it's faster than it's ever been. Okay. For me, those intrusive thoughts are really tough. Like, and I'm, if nothing up, nothing but trying to be authentic in this world. And so I will fully admit when I have my own things. Those intrusive thoughts, you guys, I'll get off of this meeting today and I will sit there and it will immediately rush into me that I'll go, oh my God, I said something wrong. What if I led something in the wrong direction? Oh my God, I sounded stupid then. This is like, I don't sound like that person right here in this room with all of you, right? Like all of you are going to think that I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to go on with my merry day and I'm going to be like, everything's great. No, I have those intrusive thoughts as well, right? And that is coming from past trauma, past belief system, things that I'm working through. But when those come up, one, either in my head and sometimes full out loud, I immediately go, stop, because I have to get it where it is. So be willing. Again, you guys, My grocery store must think I am the craziest person in the world with the things that I do in it. But I will, in the middle of the grocery store, when that kicks up, I'll go, stop, stop. Because it's like, again, a small child sometimes, right? When they're about to do something that is going to hurt them, you don't have time to necessarily figure out the right way to communicate with them, right? At first, it's stop. Once I say that stop and I get that halt for just a second, it's coming in with, that's not really the truth. That's not really the truth. I know that, and you know that, Brad. I can feel that in you. You know when these things come up, it's not the truth, but it doesn't mean that they're not affecting you. But the more you communicate with that intrusive thought, with this isn't the truth. And then here's the trick. You ready? Send it gratitude. Tell it thank you for trying to keep you safe. Because that's what those intrusive thoughts are usually doing. They think that by putting you back in that situation, you won't get into that situation again. That's why they kick up. That's why that's there. So if you can go, stop, that's not the truth. But thank you so much for trying to keep me safe. I am okay. I am okay. Because the more you do that, the more those intrusive thoughts are like, well, shit, this doesn't work anymore. Okay, I don't need to pop up anymore. And while you're doing all of your other therapy and you're working on all of this, some of those intrusive thoughts are just it's like the shoot 'em up game when you're on an amusement park ride, right? You're shooting it and it's going away. That's what therapy is doing for you right now. But when those things come up, stop it, acknowledge it's not the truth, thank it for trying to keep you safe, and send it on its merry way. And you might have to do that repeatedly, but see if that helps you a little bit. Okay, Brad?
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Christina says, Paula Robbins, who's one of the Awkwardly Zen partners, says, delete, delete, delete. Anytime someone says something, delete, delete, delete. The other thing I've started saying, Brad, and maybe this will help, is my 20-year-old daughter taught me this. She calls everything silly. When something comes up or when someone's being a jerk to her, she's like, well, that's just silly. That person's being silly. There is something about the word silly that just takes the like aggression out of it. When you tell someone they're a silly Billy or they're silly. So maybe try that. Be like, oh, that's a silly thought. Like, of course that's not true. Thank you so much for trying to keep me safe. We're good.
Yeah, it downplays the intensity of it.
Absolutely. And that's the problem. We give these things intensity, right? At least I do.
Yeah.
Like it comes up and I'm like, oh, I'm the worst person in the world. I'm not. Of course I'm not. And that's the other thing where it comes into how we talk to ourselves is different than how we talk to other people, right? So what would you say to your best friend or your kid if they were having the same thing? Turn that within. Okay. Treat yourself like your own best friend and see if that might help too. Can you guys tell I've been in therapy for a while? Okay. Like, let me bring in my own stuff. All right. The next person is gonna be Christina.
Hey.
Hey.
I'm trying to reword this, but this is so true. I love being busy. I do this to myself. So then at the end of the day, I do try to make sure I meditate. And I've been working on self-worth. I'm even wearing a self-worth t-shirt today.
Love it.
But like at the end of the day, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't meditate. Like, is it just steady? But this stuff is so fun and this feels authentic. So I don't even know if that is a block.
Okay. Is it a block, Christina?
Yeah, no, I'm having fun. Yeah. I have this, I've been seeing so many videos about authenticity that I'm trying to figure out what in the hell that even means.
For sure. Okay. Can I tap into your guides and your angels?
Yes, please.
All right. So I love your team and we've worked together many times. So here's the thing. You are the kind of person that needs to follow the fun, right? And honestly, all of us need to follow the fun more because we're not here to be miserable. It was like that original person who was like, no, that makes me sad, right? Yeah, no, we're not here to be sad. We're not here to be miserable. Like that's not the ultimate plan. Are we here to go through some human emotions? I do believe that is the case. And sometimes the sadness and the things that we have to go through make those brighter so much brighter. But in my opinion, following the joy is a great thing. As far as being our authentic selves, I say that all the time. People say that all the time. To me, what that means is I want to feel comfortable in my own skin.
Mm.
I want to, as much as I can, when I say something, feel absolutely okay with what I'm saying, what I'm doing, what I'm wearing, who I'm hanging out with, all of those things. I want to feel okay about it. And I don't, right?
Mm.
Like there's times, and sometimes I don't because it isn't who I am, but more often I don't because I have fear.
Mm. Mhm.
I have fear of judgment. I have fear of what other people are going to think. I have fear of doing it wrong. I have all of this fear. So when that doubt comes up of I don't know what the authentic self is, I find often it is wrapped with fear. Okay. And anytime we put anything through a layer of fear, it's going to get a little uglier, right? Like love through fear becomes ugly. Anything through fear can become ugly. So in those moments where you go, I don't know what in the hell I'm doing. Is this really what I want to do? That is the time, and bless your little heart, because I know it's your brain's going a million miles an hour all the time.
Mhm.
But that's the moment to get as quiet as you can. Is this what I want to do? And if the answer is yes right away, do it.
Okay.
Now, if you go, is this what I want to do? And it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's time to dig into that a little bit. Is it something I'm doing because I think everybody wants me to do it? Am I doing it because Airy does it and so I must have to do it to do it? That's not true, you guys. Please don't go on the same path I did. So, like, just maybe feel into that a little bit more. But when it's an instant, excited, absolutely yes, go. And
Awesome.
you're good at that, Christina. So give yourself a little more credit.
Okay. Well, I just adopted another dog too, so but I did. It was like an instant yes, and I was like, yes. My husband wasn't, but I was.
I mean, sometimes we do that. Now, we also have to keep ourselves safe, right? So periodically we have to stop and go, okay, our guides and our angels and everyone doesn't always understand this human experience. That's what the majority of my videos on Instagram are about, right? Is them not truly understanding what we put ourselves through down here. But if you think that there's something, like if you were all of a sudden going, okay, I need to adopt a dog every day, you're ignoring the things from you that are saying, Christina, you can't do that.
Mhm.
And you can't do that not because you're bad or stupid, but because it doesn't make sense for you. So just make sure that you're getting quiet periodically. Meditate, as my friend Kandara would say.
Awesome.
Okay, you're doing great. You're doing great. Your team freaking loves you. They're so excited for you. So just keep going. Okay. All right. Ashley says I mentally hit unsubscribe sometimes to that internal tape. I freaking love that, Ashley. You are not welcome here anymore. Okay, Jacqueline. Our helper gets a chance. The random number generator said it was you.
Yeah. Okay. Connection.
Connection.
Yes. And I have connection, but I would like it to be stronger
Mm.
and clearer for
Can I
me.
tap into your guides and angels?
Of course you can.
Okay. You ready? You put yourself through this all the time and I love you for it.
I know.
Jacqueline, remember that picture of that horse with those blinders?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the thing with you. It's like you're standing back and there are 10 blinders in front of you, and you keep walking from one blinder into the next blinder into the next blinder. Okay. So you keep thinking, I'm broadening my scope, Airy. What are you talking about? I'm thinking wider because I have this belief that I didn't have before and I was open to it. But it's like you keep having to try to put things in boxes, and not in the boxes in the back like I have where we're hiding it, but more in this has to make sense. Metaphysics doesn't make sense until it does. Right? This is not a logical world that we have all jumped into. This is not math. This is not physics. This is metaphysics. This is the weird. And when you let yourself fall into the weird, Jacqueline, it's really beautiful. And we've seen it, right? The Akashic Records is your lesson in the weird.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, let's have you learn the craziest thing that you could possibly learn. It will not be the craziest thing that you learn.
Oh God, there's more of something
Oh
else.
yeah.
Woo.
There's more. I can feel it. Your team is like, oh, well, we're not going to stand still, because you can't stand still. You get bored too easily. You need to constantly push yourself and frustrate yourself and get yourself doing that. But the more you go down this path, the more those blinders are going to start opening, and they're all going to come together, and it's going to be like that picture where they're in the hallway looking out at the beach versus being on the beach. So guess what your homework is? Go to the beach.
Okay.
You live right next to the most vast thing that we can comprehend, not on this planet.
Yeah, it's about a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So go to the beach, Jacqueline. And when you're on the beach, the goal is no blinders,
Okay.
the vastness of it all. Because the more you start accepting the vastness of it all, the more you're not going to find yourself in this, it's not clear, because you're going to
Okay.
embrace the fact that it's not clear.
Okay.
There is
Thank you.
nothing in my world, Jacqueline, just so you know, nothing in my world that is crystal clear. I get
Okay.
these messages and I give them, but they're not crystal clear. They just start forming, and I can grab a hold of them, and then they form a little more, and then we get them out. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could you put my contact information over on the side? Those of you who are sending me private messages saying you want to work with me, absolutely, I want to work with you. So Jacqueline will put that over there. Go to my snip feed. You can book through there. And I appreciate you. If you have a question, I'm going to put my personal email. This is how much I appreciate y'all. I'm going to put it over here in the chat. Those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you can send me a message on YouTube or comment with your email, and I'll send it to you, because I don't want my email all over the world. But for those of you in this class, you're welcome to shoot me a quick message if you have any questions about like coaching sessions or what to expect or anything like that. Okay, we're almost out of time. Do I have time for one more, Kendra? Okay. All right. Ellie, are you here?
Hello, I'm here. Thank
Hi.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time. So, I guess I was thinking when I was listening to other people what my blockages are, and I'd say it's probably two things. One is that I struggle with faith and belief. So I
Mhm.
kind of oscillate between fully believing everything and then going completely the other way, just thinking it's all made up, it's all rubbish. So I kind of wish that didn't happen. And then I guess to increase the faith, I want to do more of spiritual practices, and I do some, but I always feel like it's not enough. And I do use that thing. I don't have the time, but then I have to be honest, even when I have the time, sometimes I just have these blockages and I don't feel like doing them, and I'll find something else to do. And I'll even do things like I feel like I'm wasting time and I just can't get myself to do stuff that would be I feel beneficial. Like I'd love to connect with my spirit guides, and I'd love to get signs from people and loved ones that have passed. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess it's those two things.
Okay. Well, so the faith thing, if you figure out, Ellie, how to have complete faith all the time, would you let me know? Because I'll tell you, I've been immersed in this world for quite a while now, and there's still times that something happens and I'm like, I'm making all of this up. This is not real, right? Or sometimes the fear kicks in, right? Where I'll go, what if I'm making all of this up? Because I don't really feel like I'm making all of it up, and there's way too many synchronicities. Like I can't ignore that. Too many synchronicities. And that's how I found my faith. I asked for more synchronicities. I would wake up in the morning and I'd go, show me this specific thing. I need to fall into my faith more, so help me with this. And I started big, right? Because that's what my brain could handle. So I'd say, show me feathers, show me money on the street, show me, have people call me who haven't talked to me in a long time, like things like that. And then I got more and more specific. Okay. I would say things like, what in the general, this is one of my favorite moments. I was driving back to my house and I was in panic about money. And I was like, all right, guides and angels, I need you to show me it's going to be okay, that the money stuff is going to work itself out. And I got home and I'm sitting at my desk and I was looking out the window, and a family of goldfinches moved into the little bush in front of my house for about a week. I've never had goldfinches before. I've never had them since. But all of these bright yellow birds who mean abundance, who have that thing, would start showing up. So I said, show me animals, show me this, show me that. And sometimes I get specific. My favorite one where they completely mess with me is I said I wanted to see a pink hippopotamus. And instead, they have been showing me purple moose over and over again, which is their joke with me because hippopotamus. And I didn't get it. And I was like, why are you showing me these purple mooses when mooses, meese, mice, moose, when I wanted to see hippopotamuses, hippopotami? I don't know, you guys. And I got clearly in my ear laughing. Like they were just having a good time with me. So sometimes it might be slightly different, but if you start seeing the same thing over and over again, and I can guarantee you in this room, there's no shortage of angel numbers. You see all sorts of things out there. You're seeing these signs. You see something, like something will show up 4 times in a day. Don't ignore that. Spend some time with it. What is this coming through? Because that is the easiest way for us to start falling into faith. Then again, start pulling cards. Get an oracle deck, just one oracle deck. You can even go online and go oracle card for free and it'll pull for you. But do that. Play with that a little bit more, okay? Play is the key word here. We think everything has to be work. Play with the universe. Show me something fun today. Show me a castle. Valerie has a great story about how she wanted to see a castle and a button. So she was driving down the road and one bulletin board had this giant button the size of a castle on it. And the next bulletin board had a castle. And she was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Like, that is crazy. And that's Abraham Hicks stuff. But show me these signs helps fall into faith. Pulling cards and seeing how they resonate with your life will help you go, holy crap, there is something out there. And the more you fall into that faith, the easier the next steps get. The easier it is to fall into faith with yourself, the easier it is to start doing practice sessions where you're maybe doing readings. You might want to take a psychic development class. You might want to go online and see other things. But you said it yourself, Ellie, one of the biggest issues is that you're not making the time. So by making it play, I think you'll do that a little more. The other thing that I love about Insight Timer is Insight Timer will keep track of how many days in a row you meditate. So I don't get out of bed until I've meditated because I want my timer to click off. So in the morning, I wake up, I go into my Insight Timer, I find the meditation we're going to do for the day. Sometimes it's 2 minutes, sometimes it's 10. Every once in a while I'll go longer, but not usually. Find it. Lay there, whether I did it right or wrong, I don't care. I am actively taking time to meditate. So that's what we're doing there, and I count it good. Originally, when I didn't want to do it in bed, it was I wouldn't let myself have a cup of coffee in the morning until I meditated. Believe you me, we got that meditation done, y'all. So like finding things like that that will trick your brain into going, okay, I'm going to do this will be really good. Okay. Also remember that spiritual stuff is happening every day. When you're sitting in your car at a stoplight, take 3 deep breaths and say something that you're grateful for. You just did a spiritual practice. Gratitude is one of the best things to bring you into spirituality. So really working on that part of it alone will help you take those next steps. But it's a matter of the overwhelm of spirituality is huge. Y'all, there's so many different rabbit holes that you can all go down. So the trick is to start small and to see what gets put in front of you and then follow those breadcrumbs. Okay, Ellie, you got it. Okay. Kendara, I'm going to pass it on to you. All of my information is over there in the chat. Again, you guys, I have specials that are going on for this next week for March. The buy 3, get 1 free, that might run into April, I'm not sure. But the $50 reading, that's normally $75 is absolutely going to end at the end of this next week. So get those spots booked. And then my tarot class, you guys, is super fun. So please come hang out with us with that and check that out. And if you're in Denver, come see me for psychic development next Thursday at Cat's Eye Crystals, or come get a charm reading with me on or tomorrow from 12 to 1. No, 12 to 5. Whew. All right, I've talked way too long. Kendara, I'm passing it to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, absolutely on the meditation. Great statements, Brad. You guys are incredible. Jacqueline, thank you. Airy, thank you. Thank you all for coming. You are loved and appreciated, and we will see you at the next event.
Thank you so very much for having me, Kandara.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you all. Bye.